Welcome to SB 405D Project Management. My name is Felicia Freedied and Aqua. I'll be taking you through this Unit 2, Project Cost and Procurement Management. Today, our discussion is going to focus on Session 3, Project Cost Management Process. By the end of this session, you should be actually able to go further to explain some variables on the project cost, explain the different sources of project cost, explain project cost management as well. So in estimating project costs, we actually need to look at what kind of cost we're going to look in or we're going to deal with, and then how much is going to go for, or the figures to it, because at the end of the day, cost is a very key or important part of every project. So we're saying that when you're doing project cost estimation, is actually the process of approximating cost to the various activities which has to be done in that project. And to ensure that your cost is accurate, you need to be able to project the phase activities and break them down into the various deliverables and then project package. Usually when you're doing costing and you don't break them down to the various activities or tasks and plan from them, you would end up having an estimation which is not the best or the most appropriate. You would miss out on some figures or some things. And so if you're going to do your project costing, you need to be able to break them into the miniature activities, the very things you're going to do to be able to achieve them. And then at each phase or in each activity, what you need to do is then to cost the various variables or the things that is going to help you achieve that activity. So it says, for example, in an attempt to create a cost estimation for completing a building of a 3-bedroom house, you would need to first identify the cost of acquiring the land, getting the building plan or design, how much a foundation is going to cost, how much the building itself, the laying of the blocks and all those things. Then you go to how much the roofing and all those fittings and fixtures and all those things are going to cost for you to get a good estimate. If you just look at building the house from like the finished side, you will not be able to give the right cost to it. But if you take it from the ground, the basic things, because if you're going to build a house, the most basic thing you have to do is look for a land. If you go and check the land, you do the feasibility and things. If it works for you, you have to purchase it, go to a land commission, go and do the registrations and all those ones before you even come and do your building plans and all those ones, and the permit issues and all those ones. So if you're able to build your cost from the bottom up like that, you're able to actually do a more comprehensive estimation, and that also helps you when you're estimating your cost. And so we're saying that there is a need to consider all resources that will be used in the project. When we know all the resources we're going to use, then we know how much money we are looking out in there. And there's a need for us to control our costs, especially when we are implementing the project. Cost control is very, very key. Else you end up, especially most time than not, you end up using too much than you had planned or estimated for. So we're saying that cost control is basically about monitoring the status of the project to be able to see whether the baseline is being met or not. So we update the cost and manage changes to the cost baseline, which is known as the project cost control. So you need to intensify your cost control during the execution stage. Like I made mention, when you're implementing it, that is when you need to be very, very careful, because the least deviation or the least change can actually affect the cost impact. Don't forget that if the project delays and then we are forced to put in a lot more to get it to meet the target or the completion, is more cost. If a project delays and we're going beyond that schedule or that time frame, more cost is incurred. And so at the execution stage, if you don't take care, you may not be able to achieve what you've stated in your scope to do. You may not be able to achieve that quality you'd want, and you may go off your schedule or your timeline, which will cause the project delays and more cost will come in. And so at every point, we need to make sure that, yes, we plan that we're going to incur X amount on this, on that, at the end of the day, when we are implementing, we must make sure that we are achieving that what X cost which we've placed there. If we are going beyond, we need to find out what is going wrong and then correct it as much as possible. So determine any cost variance for the project, there would be the need to evaluate the current status of the baseline. So that's why I said you need to see what is happening on ground to be able to compare to what you had set up initially from the start. And so you need to ask some questions when you're doing the evaluation project. Some of the questions you need to ask yourself is the project or phase activity progressing as planned? Yes, we're going to do the buy the land. We've been able to buy the land. We're supposed to get the building plan. We've gotten the building plan and the permit. We are working on the foundation. We needed about 10 men to dig and then get us towards done by a week. Are we being able to meet it? It is day 9 and then we've still not been able to finish digging the foundation. Are we going as we planned or are we off? Then you ask yourself, is it meeting the quality target? Yes, we wanted to do a 6 feet digging and we are at 3 feet or 4 feet. Have we met that quality we want? Is it still at that level we want it or not? If it's not, then we know that there's potential going to be more cost because of the time may not work or the quality is not met, and so we may have to put in more there. It could even be that yes, we said we're going to use blocks which is made from quarry dust. Now the blocks that are coming are not from quarry dust, it's a different material and then it's a bit more porous and things. You may then ask yourself, are we meeting the quality which we wanted or not? You need to also ask yourself, the project, the activities and cost in there, is it what we planned for? So you planned you are going to use blocks with 3 cedis per block, and then now cement has shot up and the block is like 5 cedis per block. What can you do? You still have to continue the project, and you realize that the cost you place for even the foundation may be more than what is being experienced in there. And so you realize that when you look at your diagram, the difference, which is the cost difference, is actually what is coming as a result of what is being done on ground against what was actually actual cost of work performed as against the budgeted work performed. So obviously when you deduct your average what is done from what you budgeted, then you're going to get the cost variance. So you realize the cost variance, it could either go up or it could come down depending on what the numbers were. So cost control is very key. We don't want to go outside our cost. Usually if we go below our cost, sometimes it can be good. That means that we're saving some sort of money in there. But usually, in Ghana or in most parts of our project, we end up going outside with our costs than minimizing or making savings or profit from them. And so when you're looking at cost control, looking out for the budgeted or what is being done on the ground, what we are incurring on the ground, as against what we actually had planned off in there. So in this session, we actually looked at project cost estimation, where we're trying to estimate or budget for the cost which is going to be incurred for our project. And we made mention that you need to start from the very basic things you're going to do, start from the bottom up to be able to get all the cost per all the activities or tasks to be performed in there. We also made mention that when you're doing your cost budgeting or your cost, you need to look at cost control as well, where we're going to look out for what is being incurred on the ground, the actual as against the projected or the budgeted cost. And then when there is a difference, which we call the cost variance, then we need to know what to do and how to solve it. At the end of the day, we've also learned that no matter what happens, these costs is going to affect the project, because project delays can affect not just the project, but it affects the cost we're going to incur as well. And all of this have some sort of connection to the quality, the scope of the project as well. Thank you.